Hello everybody. This is going to be a little bit different of an episode because a lot of the episodes we've done lately, they're basically just driving, autocrosses, Nevada Open Road Challenge. I'm actually going to go back to working on my car. So, got a package here today. So I decided, just so everybody gets to know what's going on here, I am going to take my car and do the Silver State Classic, which is the fall version of the Nevada Open Road Challenge. I'm going to do it. I don't have a trailer. I really don't have anything to tow a trailer, so I'm going to drive that thing. I think it's like almost 600 miles, 500 plus miles. Do the event and then drive it home. I know, pretty crazy, huh? Because it's going to get beat pretty hard up there, 140 miles an hour, the mile drag or half mile, depends on what I decide to do. But there was one thing that I wanted to do before I leave, and that is I wanted cruise control. So I'm going to show everybody exactly what we've got here. So I've dealt with a couple guys online who've ordered these systems. They're from the cruise control store. So I'm using a Universal Performance Cruise number 2501882. This is their unit. This is the first time I've actually unbolted it, or unboxed it, sorry about that. That bolts with a general kit. So I got a bracket. This is for the drive shaft to do it. Probably got weights on here. Oh, it even comes with, oh wow, it even comes with everything you need. The weights, the tie wrap. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, and then I'm thinking there's a computer in here. Yep, here's the computer, the brains. So pretty simple looking actually. And then in this box, I think I've got, oh, this is the pigtail. So this is going to plug into the current throttle by wire pedal on the Coyote. If you don't have a Coyote, I know they make kits that have like a servo motor that'll do it, but I don't know anything about those. So this plugs into the Coyote, and then the other part plugs in here, so pigtails, and then this will plug into one of these. And the other one probably plugs into the power and all that stuff. So that's this here, so we'll put that back in this box. And I'm doing this for two reasons, because you know what, if I'm going to drive that far and I got to keep modulating that pedal and doing all that, that's going to get old pretty quick. So I figured this would be my best bet to make this ride somewhat enjoyable. What I'm also going to do, just for hearing protection, just so everybody knows, I'm going to buy, I got Apple AirPods Pros, the noise canceling. I'm going to run those and then run some earmuffs, some like 25 NRR, noise reduction rated headsets. That should make it nice and quiet. Should be able to cruise down the road because, those tires are noisy, the car is noisy. So what I've got is this. This is their control for the cruise control, and this I can mount underneath my dash, so it'll basically be hidden. I don't want to see any cruise control stock. I want this thing to be hidden. Nobody knows it's cruise control. This will be down kind of by my knees. I can reach up underneath, hit the on button. And then it's RA, I'm guessing that's resume, and then SC, I'm not sure, it's probably set and cruise. So that's good. And then I got one more box here, and I have no idea what's in this box. Harness control switch. So I'm going to detail this whole video on how this, because people have asked about this. No idea what this does, but we'll figure it out. I got instructions in that big box here. So we're going to play around with this. I will show you exactly what I'm doing for install and how it works. There's been a few write-ups on the forums. There are a few guys that have done it, but I'm actually going to videotape the whole thing, start to finish. Probably tonight I'm going to try to get the car up on jacks, see if we can get the drive shaft magnets set up first, but I'm going to read the instructions before we go anywhere. I know, man reads instructions. Go figure. Who the hell does that, right? But I could probably do it without reading them, but I figured why not just give it a go, right? And as I said, this is the pickup for, so I'm guessing this might screw onto here like this somehow. Probably this way. And this will pick up the magnets on there, tell you how fast to go, and then the throttle by wire just keeps it at that same speed. So we'll go through here, figure out what we got, and then I'll show up some more videos on exactly what we're dealing with, and how this thing works. So thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe. As I said, it's nice to finally be back doing something on the car. This will be step number one, and then my next big job after this one is completed, I'm working on some aero. We'll go into details on that. I don't want to change the outside look of the car. So we're going to be dealing with the airflow underneath the car. And I've got some good ideas there. I got some stuff I'm trying to get my hands on and see if we can clean this thing up aero-wise, because I don't think the aero on these cars are that good. So thanks again, and look forward to moving on with this install. So next one, let's go out and get the car up on jacks, and we'll get this drive shaft and get the wires run for that. Okay. As you guys can see here, it's got to be 1/2 to 1 inch away from the drive shaft. So I'm almost thinking if I can stick this thing either up underneath here like this with a bracket, come right off one of these bolts, just like this. That might be the way to do this. That way I don't even need anything else. Or I could, yeah, there's not enough room. Yeah, so I have to go to the bottom. So, or over to the side. So hopefully you guys can see this. So there's not enough room to fit it between into here. Too tight. So I go underneath. That's what I think I'm probably going to do. It's probably easiest. I could probably come off with that bracket dead square, a little angle downward, and then just stick it right here. A couple of magnets and I'm done. One up top, one at the bottom, and I think at that point I'm golden. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. That way I can reuse these bolts. It's kind of tucked up in there. It's nice protected, and then run the wires. So, okay. I've actually got the magnet and those things put on the drive shaft. I'll show you what I did with that. I've also got a bracket here I've made for the switch. It's going to go kind of where the knee is on that angled bracket. So I'll show you why I'm doing this. So here's you have the brains of the control unit. So these are the wires here, and this is what I'm going to do this because the instructions really kind of suck. So these plug into the control, the little button here. Hopefully you guys can see this thing around my head. So these plug into here. So I have to pin these 4. These other 4, if you want to put lights on it and everything, which I'm just going to end up cutting those things off. So these all tie together this way. The pedal assembly, which is a pigtail Y type thing. So you just unplug the pedal assembly, you plug in the new one, and then it branches out into another one that's going to go into here. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. And then this here plugs into this one. Like this, and these are all the wires that you'll get your power from here. You're also got to go to your brake switch, your clutch switch, which I'm going to delete. You just basically don't use those wires. You got to ground, and I think that's about it. A lot of the stuff you don't get used. These things are kind of a generic controller, I think, so there's a lot of wires that don't come with it. And then this is something they call a divider that's got to kind of go in to here in a few spots. Like the red ignition comes into the red here. I'm not really sure how I tap into that yet. If I can just cut into that and do that, I'm not really sure. So that's one of the things I'm not really positive on yet. I'm still kind of working it out. As I said, the wiring's not great, but at least I've got the wiring figured out from here to here and from the pedal to here. So now I got to figure out this divider thing. I'll wire this whole thing up, and then we'll figure it out from here. So as I said, there's a whole lot of extra wires here, which I don't really need. I would love to cut all these back, but I don't really want to try and depin these things either, because that can be a real pain in the you-know-what. If I can depin them, but then, yeah, I don't know if we'll do that. I mean, I may just bunch this up and stick it under the dash. And once I get it working, then maybe I'll pull it back apart and depin it and shorten all these down and make it all custom. I wish I'd have done this before I built the car. It would have been nice, but, you know, because it would have made life a little bit easier on me. I would have had all these wires hidden. Instead, now they're going to be kind of loose. I mean, they're not going to be loose, but they're just not going to be in the looms. Like the wire that goes from the magnet up to the front, I just kind of zip tied it all along the line, put it in some convoluted tubing. It would have been nice to have that all buried in my, wire loom, like with everything else. I ran some extra wires front and rear of the car just in case, but not that. So if you're going to do it, if you plan on driving your car a lot, just buy the cruise control, be done with it. It's $369. And I said I intend to drive this thing a lot on the highway. It's just nice to hit that cruise button and just let her rip. So let's get back at this. And the cruise control is all installed. I have not had a chance to go out and test it yet because you see the car now, I'm swapping back to track pads. I've got a track day event at Thunder Hill coming up. So I didn't want to pull it down, test it, bring it back, get it back up on jack stand so I can then go out and run it. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then we will do a follow-up video with how the cruise control works. So let me get underneath the car to show you how I did the sensors inside. I'm going to put the headlight on so you guys can see, since it is a little dark under there. Okay, so you can see how I've got the little sensor there. You can see the magnets on the side of the drive shaft. So that's where I'm kind of taking the speed sensor from. Pretty easy to bolt in here, and then I've got some wire ties on it there, just kind of keeping the wire out of the way. That is my one. Then the wires kind of run forward, as you can see. Hopefully you can see all that. And they're just zip tied to some of the conduit, the convoluted conduit. Here's my big issue with this. Oh, I'm going to pull you back up. So my big issue with this whole setup is I wish I would have done it when the car was being built, because I could have hit all those wires, made it nice and neat. And now they're just kind of zip tied to the outer sheaths or the wire looms. Don't like the look, but I don't want to have to cut into it because all those wire looms are taped shut. They're totally sealed. I don't want to have to cut into those things. So it's going to be what it is. Worst case scenario, chafes a wire on the cruise control. I'm out of cruise control. I can live with that. No big deal. Car's not going to quit running. So let me show you what I've done inside the car. Hold on here. Open the door. Okay, I'm going to turn my light back on so you can see up underneath there. So here is where the control unit is. As you can see that. Perfect spot for it. It's hidden. You can't see it unless you really look underneath. You can see the wires are a freaking mess. So I left them all along until I checked this thing out, and then I'm going to shorten it all up and try to clean it up. It's about the best I'm going to get without tying everything in a loom. As I said, you can't see it all, but I'll clean all that up later once I'm sure this thing works properly. I don't want to go through all that effort and work if I have to return it if something doesn't work. Tapped into the brakes here using one of their, there's little splice doodads. I didn't want to start cutting into those either, so I used their little red, splice things and did it that way. Actually, I probably checked the brakes and make sure they're still working. But other than that, I think we're pretty good. So the cruise control is working, not without a whole lot of grief and a whole lot of effort. So let me show you what you can see inside the car. As you can see nothing. Now, if you get down really low, you can then see the controller right there. So I can reach down and touch that, totally hidden, so nobody knows the better that this thing has cruise control, and that's why I did it. So I love it. It holds the speed perfect. Is it modern with, adaptive cruise control, all that stuff? No. But for what I need, long trip, just hit cruise at, 75 and just let that thing just motor, perfect. Now I want to show you some of the issues with the instructions, and that's where this thing is not the best. So I'm going to put you on my head here. Let me turn this light on. So this is some of the instructions that came with it. They came with multiple packs. This was in there, this was in there, this was in there. These are some of the stuff I printed off. This was in there. So it's a little confusing at first, but I kind of figured it out. So a lot of this stuff here is, when you have an engaged light, which I didn't want that because you can't see it anyhow. And then it's how to turn the backlighting on. I don't care about that. You can't see it because it's only got 4 buttons. You just know it by feel. And then you got some of the wiring stuff here, which got a little confusing. Here is where they're wrong. And this is where the whole thing is kind of crazy. So I'll go back to that here in a second. So then you've got your cruise module, shows where to come out, pick up the wires. You got your brakes, your clutch. I didn't use the clutch since I just didn't want to deal with that. Just more wires, so I just trimmed those off. As I said, mounting the magnetic sensor, no problem. Then you have this little divider thing, and it's a whole nother can of worms. This actually runs in parallel with everything else, but basically it doesn't share anything. So it's pretty straightforward. You share the red hot wire, you share the ground, the yellow goes to the speed sensor, which goes to this, and then it gets the green. So it does something with this magnetic coil, converts it, divides it, whatever it does, turns it into some signal that the cruise module understands. Okay? So here's the issue. I'm not an electrician. I struggle with it. I'm slow. It takes me a while to figure out what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a circuit. I can usually figure it out, but I'm not quick at it. So so it takes me a little while because I don't do it that much. So back on my head here. So they're saying now if you've got LED brake lights, which the Daytona comes with, you're supposed to hook up a relay, okay? Here is where this is totally wrong. And I just followed the instructions, wired it up, Nothing worked. So then I printed out this. I got this somewhere online, which shows through how to go through and check everything. So you can see I started making notes, checking everything else, but there's one big flaw in their whole thing here, and this is on the relay. So if you can see, you've got your coil energized here, which is going to operate your switch, right? So you've got your brake switch, which goes to ground, which when you hit your brake, that gets hot, energizes your coil, which is supposed to pull this switch over, correct? Well, they've got ground here. Well, if you ground it here and that's not used, what's going on there? I didn't really watch it, didn't look at it too closely. I just wired it up, plug, done. Could not figure it out. One of these has to be hot. Doesn't matter which one, because you've got to be able to send this electricity. When this switch gets pulled close, this ground's got to be hot to run this over to the computer. And this one here can be a ground or vice versa. It depends on how you wire it up. But they didn't have any hot going to the relay at all. So I struggled with this, couldn't get to work. Finally figured it out. And once I fixed that, she fired up perfect. And now it runs great. As I said, this is all pretty straightforward. I don't know this black and blue thing here. I don't know what, they've just complicated it. So just wanted to clear that up, make sure, and you can see I've even got online and got kind of a quick information here on what needs to be done. See, so you can see here, it got 87 power, 30 cruise, ground's 87A, your coil's right here. So, but I digress again. So I just wanted to touch on that yeah, the cruise control is going to be fabulous. Wednesday, head up to the track. It's about 150, 60 miles. So it's going to be nice to get this thing on the highway, hit the cruise, take the feet off the pedal, and just comfort. Air conditioning's fixed. I had a leak in the AC. One of the hoses was leaking, so I fixed that. So now hopefully I got AC because it's supposed to be mid-upper 80s out there. So coming home will be a little hot. So hopefully that works. So thanks again. We're back to a little bit more build video. I don't know what I got coming up next, but hopefully be some track day action. And I got one more autocross thing coming up in another month. We got a Factory 5 get together next weekend. And we'll see where it goes from there. So thanks a lot. Hit subscribe and looking forward to you on the next episode of the Cobra Daytona build.